This is the second edition of the board game Slay the Oly Dragon. It is a role-playing game meant to be fast to set up, quick to learn, and enjoyable for both newcomers and those more experienced with the genre. The goal of the game is to be the first person to traverse the dangerous path to the dragon's lair and slay him. Along the way, you'll encounter monsters, collect weapons, and gain new abilities to help your quest. First, we'll begin with setup. Pull out the game board and unfold it on the table. The path begins at the town and winds back and forth until finally reaching the dragon's lair. It gets steadily more difficult as evident by the color changing from green to yellow to red. Shuffle each card deck and place them beside the game board. Encounter cards may be monsters to fight, treasure chests to raid, shortcuts to move extra spaces forward, or obstructions forcing you to move back. Loot cards are weapons or spells that will help you fight monsters encountered or the dragon at the end. Next, place a token for each player participating in the game at the start. Up to 4 players can play at once, but you can have as few as 2. Have the 2 included dice ready. That's it, setup is complete. The game comes with a thorough rule sheet that covers setup and play. Youngest player goes first. Since we're not blocked by a monster, we roll 1 dice to see how many spaces to move. After moving, we pull an encounter card. It's a monster. The color of the space we're on determines the attack roll. For a green space, we need a 5. For yellow, it would be a 7. And if we were on red, a 9. Roll 2 dice to attack. If we had any weapons or spells, we could use them as well. We rolled an 11, so the monster is defeated. We discard the monster to the side and pull a loot card. We're in luck, it's a weapon. Now all future attacks will have a +1 to the attack roll. Our turn is complete, on to the next player. The next player rolls 1 dice to move and again pulls an encounter card. This time it's a shortcut. They get to move forward 1 space, but that's the end of their turn. Our turn again, we roll for movement and pull an encounter card. As the game progresses, we're hopefully getting a weapon and some spells to help us on our journey. We roll for movement and pull an encounter card. Since we're now in a yellow space, the encounter with the monster is more difficult. We roll 2 dice to attack. Our attack roll is 6. +1 for the weapon totals 7. But that's still not enough to defeat the monster. We have a spell that gives us +2 on the attack, or an invisibility spell to sneak past the monster, but the path only gets harder and we're trying to conserve for more difficult battles later, so we decide not to use them. On to the next player. The next player moves and advances further down the map. This time a magic chest is pulled. The player will now roll 1 dice. If it's a 4, 5, or 6, they get a loot card. Discard the magic chest encounter card and go to the next player. Back to our turn. Since we didn't defeat the monster, we can't roll for movement this turn. Instead, we roll the dice to attack again. Our attack roll this time is 6. +1 for the weapon, totaling 7. Still not enough. We don't want to fall too far behind other players, so we use the invisibility spell to sneak past the monster. The monster card gets discarded, as well as our spell. Since we snuck past rather than killed the monster, we don't get to collect a loot card. However, we will be able to move at the start of our next turn. There is no limit to the number of spell cards that can be used in a single turn. I'll now demonstrate an extreme example of spell usage. We made it to the dragon with quite a few loot cards in hand, but the dragon requires an attack roll of 11 or higher. We roll 2 dice, but end up with a very low 5. Even with our weapon, lightning, and ice blast, we still don't have enough. So we cast a luck spell and re-roll. This time we get a 7. 7 +1 for the weapon, +2 from lightning, +1 from ice blast, totals 11. We used all of our spells, but defeated the dragon and won the game. Here are the many encounters or items you may get on your quest. A few final notes. Only one weapon can be wielded at a time, so if we already had a weapon and pull another, we must immediately discard one of them. Spells may be used once, but are then immediately discarded. Some spells, such as Smite and Invisibility, don't work on the dragon. Monsters only block the player that pulled the encounter card. Other players pass the monster without interruption. Have fun, and good luck on your adventure.